Hello and welcome to another GCSE revision video, and in this video we're going to be looking at solving quadratic equations. In this video we're going to be looking at solving quadratic equations by a process known as factorisation. Let's take for example the equation x squared plus 3x plus 5 equals 3. Our first job is to rearrange the quadratic equation so it's in the form of something that is equal to 0. So by moving the 3 over to the left hand side it becomes a negative 3. Now we've got a positive 5 and a negative 3, so those like terms can be combined to become positive 2. So x squared plus 3x plus 5 equals 3 becomes x squared plus 3x plus 2 equals 0. And then we just factorise our quadratic expression on the left. In this case we've got x squared plus 3x plus 2 equals 0, so we're looking for two numbers that multiply together to give 2 and add together to give 3. Well, clearly that's 1 and 2, so our brackets will become x plus 1 into x plus 2. Anything multiplied by 0 is 0. So if either factor is 0, the whole equation is 0. So if we've got x plus 1 into x plus 2 equals 0, that means either x plus 1 equals 0 or x plus 2 equals 0. Because 0 times x plus 2 is going to be 0, and 0 times x plus 1 or x plus 1 times 0 is going to be 0. That means we now have two equations to solve. So either x plus 1 equals 0, in which case x equals negative 1. All I've done is move the plus 1 over to the right hand side of the equation, so it's changed sign and become negative. Or else x plus 2 equals 0. And again, I'm just moving the 2 across the equals sign, so it becomes negative 2. So either x equals negative 1 or x equals negative 2. Okay, well, so much for the theory. Let's have a go at putting this into practice. Let's pick something like x squared plus x is equal to 2. Okay, so the first thing to do is to take this 2 and move it over to the left hand side, because we want this equation in the form of something equals 0. So we've got x squared plus x minus 2 is equal to 0. Now we just factorise the left hand side. So we're looking for the factors of 1 times negative 2, so that's negative 2. So we've got negative 2 times 1. That will add to negative 1, and this is positive x, so if we swap the signs around, we've got 2 times negative 1. That will also multiply to make negative 2, but it will add to make positive 1. So we can now decompose this into x squared plus 2x minus 1x minus 2, and that's equal to 0. Now we can pull the x out of the first two terms, so we've got x into x plus 2, and we can pull minus 1 out of the other term, so we've got minus 1 into, well, that should be added, plus minus 1 into that minus 1x will just become x, and that minus 2 will become plus 2 because we're dividing by minus 1, and that's equal to 0. So now we can pull the x plus 2 term out, so that gives us x plus 2 into x minus 1. And you might notice there's actually an easier way we could have done this. If we noticed that our factors were 2 and negative 1, we could have just put x plus 2 and x minus 1, which is the simpler way that a lot of teachers teach this in school. But if you use the deconstruction method, you will have a couple of extra lines, but this will work well even if you've got a 2 or 3 or 4 in front of your x squared term. So it's good to get into the practice of deconstructing. So if x plus 2 into x minus 1 equals 0, then either x plus 2 equals 0 or x minus 1 equals 0. Now if x plus 2 equals 0, then x equals negative 2, or x equals, in this case, x minus 1 equals 0, so x equals 1. So our solution set is x equals 1 or x equals negative 2. And that should have a negative there. Okay, let's try one more example. Let's try something like 2x squared minus x is equal to 15. Okay, so our first job is to make sure it equals 0. So we've got 2x squared minus x minus 15 is equal to 0. Now the first thing we want to do is look to see if there's any common factors that we can pull out. We've got 2, negative 1, negative 15. There's nothing we can pull out. So let's look for factors of 2 times negative 15, which is negative 30. Okay, well we've got negative 30 times 1, and we've got 30 times negative 1. They will sum to negative 29 and positive 29, which is not negative 1. So what else have we got? We've got negative 15 times 2, and we've got 15 times negative 2, which will sum to negative 13 or positive 13. Okay, so what else can we do? Well, what about 6 times 5 is 30. So we've got negative 6 times 5. That will add to negative 1, and that's what we're looking for, is negative 1. So we can decompose this into 2x squared minus 6x plus 5x minus 15 is equal to 0. Now we can take the first two terms and we can pull 2x out. So we've got 2x into the x squared will then just become x. And then we've got minus 3 and then we're adding to this. Now we've got 5x minus 15, so we can pull the 5 out. So we've got 5 into x minus 15 divided by 5 is 3. So that should have been a 3, yes, that's right. And that's equal to 0. Okay, so now we can pull the x minus 3 out. So we've got x minus 3 into 2x plus 5 is equal to 0. So either x minus 3 equals 0, in which case x equals 3, or 2x plus 5 equals 0, in which case if we pull that 5 over the equals sign it becomes negative 5, and then divide the whole thing by 2, so we've got negative 5 over 2, so x equals negative 5 over 2. or negative 2.5. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Why don't you have a go at practicing some quadratic equations for yourself and factorise them. Good luck with your revision and good luck with your exams, and I'll see you in another video.